Hello. If you're watching this, chances are you're watching it on replay, even though it does say that it was alive. Today for me was a very difficult day. Not sure if you watched my previous lives, but I have not been happy for a while in the state of the world. I'm just not impressed with the state of the world, not happy to be a part of this world. I don't really have any option because this is the only world that I sort of have. We sort of have to live in right now. There's no other world around that we can sort of jump off this one and choose another. It is what it is kind of thing, so you can be unhappy as much as you want. There's lots of things to be happy about. I should probably say that as well. There's plenty things to be happy about. Unfortunately, we live in a world where we are bombarded with information, be it through the news, be it through our politicians, social networks, online, with all the negativities, all the atrocities and all the wars, which a lot of them are blown out of proportion. Recently, in my part of the world, there has been an actual literal genocide in Syria. The news just refuses to talk about, they will never talk about, they've never talked about the minority groups that face, I don't even know what to tell you, just horrible atrocities have been committed against these people just because of their ethnicity, because of their belief systems, because of their last names. It's just not right, and it's not fair. It is what it is, but today was a day of protest for me where I cried and I was angry, and I just sort of just questioned, my higher self, the universe, whatever it is you want to call it. Why? Why? And why can't I get to have an influence in this world right now to make it a better place? Why do I have to struggle while I witness all this nonsense happening around me? Why? And I cried and I asked for help and I asked for guidance. And as soon as I did that, a massive sort of, whatever you want to call it, intuitive hit, message, download, I don't know, whatever you're comfortable calling it, came through. And the message was so strong and it was instant and it was, I just cried. I cried more than I was already crying. So I took down my notes after I settled down and I understood what the message is. And I don't know what to do with it other than to come on here and give it to whoever wants to hear it. I don't come on here. I don't do this. I don't know, I guess, why I do this. Maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe I should just keep, the messages, the downloads that come to me, to myself. Maybe the world isn't ready to hear any of this. I don't know. I still have a lot of questions. And some of the questions that I have been sort of asking is, why can't I influence people? Why is it not my time yet? I feel ready, I feel ready to be heard. But at the same time, I just looked up, the person who has the biggest YouTube channel in this world, and I looked up some of this person's videos and their channel, and I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want any of that. I don't want that life. I don't want that responsibility. So I guess my question to myself is, why am I doing this? And I have so far not been, I haven't gotten a direct message not to do this. But I still wonder. I'm just throwing this stuff out there again. This is a pre-recorded live. I'm not sure if I'm going to publish it. And if it does get published, I'm not sure where I'm going to put it, because it is heavy duty. Let's get into the message itself. And before I get started with the messaging, I hope whoever is watching this, if I do publish it, none of what I'm about to talk about and the words that I'm going to use are intended to bring fear inside of you, to make you feel afraid, to make you feel ashamed, to make you feel low, and to make you feel just negative. It's not meant to sink you vibrationally. This message came through, if you're like me and you're angry at the state of the world right now, and you don't understand why all this is happening and why it won't stop. It seems like it's just getting worse, you know? The last thing we needed right now in the world, at least my part of the world, the last thing the world needed right now was another massacre, was another ethnic cleanse. So I'm bothered by all this stuff. I guess I have the right to be bothered. You pretty have to be, like, I don't know, you'd have to be inhumane. Every corner in this world, there's something horrible happening. And it's just become so too much. So too much. It makes it hard to go focus on something positive. It makes you feel almost guilty to appreciate the good in this world. It is what it is. So we are evolving. I'm going to start with the message. I'm going to stop ranting. We are evolving, yes, and we always have been and will continue to, along with our surroundings. I guess this is pretty, self-evident, self-explanatory. We right now, the world is a mess because we are currently going through an evolution. Have we gone through evolutions before? Yes, 100% we have. Not in our lifetimes. But humanity, this world, this planet, has gone through many, many, many evolutions. And right now we are witnessing, we are experiencing, we are going through one. In the beginning, we were evolving on a macro level. So if you look at sort of, I forget what the term is, there's a scientific term for the examination of the human species, as we evolved, and our bone structures and how we walked on this earth and our physical appearances and what it is we did. Macro level changes. Physically, we've evolved. It seems like we're not evolving as much anymore physically. But now the evolution is more of an emotional, it's a very fine evolution, which is why you're going to hear a lot of people, including myself, saying that it's a very heart-centered evolution right now. This world has its own chakras, and we've moved through the hunter-gatherer stage, the creativity stage. We've moved through the solar plexus power structures, and now we're into the heart-centered evolution, where our hearts will open towards each other to a level that probably has never been experienced before. I don't think I'm going to live to see this evolution finish. I'd like it to start now, actually. But we are in the crux of this evolution, which is a very emotional, very fine level of evolution. One thing, I still can hear my voice. Let me just, I guess my voice is loud. If we, one thing we do not perhaps think about, I know I think about, because I think about many things. I've always been a person who questions. We don't think of why. Why do we continue to evolve? Why do we need to evolve? We've evolved. I mean, we walk now and, we've moved beyond the caveman or whatever the scientific term is for that. And we've become the way we look now. Why do we still continue? Why do we still need, I guess, to evolve? If we go by the teachings that we are an extension of consciousness, you wouldn't be watching me right now if you were not conscious. If there was not something inside of you that keeps you awake, that keeps you alive, that keeps you aware. That something is called consciousness. So if we go by the teachings that we are an extension of consciousness, you know how you say, oh, he lost consciousness in medicine. There is a scale for measuring how conscious a human being is. This is something that's actually scientific. It isn't woo-woo. It's not just limited to spirituality. We operate because we are conscious. What is consciousness? This is the big mystery that nobody has been able to solve, including science. Science can measure your level of consciousness, but it can't tell you what is consciousness. It can tell you, this part of your brain stem, it needs to be functioning in order for you to be able to operate. It can tell you that, but it can't tell you what makes that part of your brain work, which is consciousness, the one source. If you want to call it the universe, if you want to call it God, I don't care. I say this in every live stream because I don't want to upset or trigger people. Call it whatever it is you want to call it. I prefer the term, consciousness or the source, the one source. So we are evolving. If we're an extension of consciousness, of source, we are evolving because consciousness, the one source, is also evolving. And that was the epiphany that dropped on me today. Consciousness itself is evolving. And because we are an extension, we are the many, 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 many arms of consciousness in this world, we are also automatically, by default, evolving. We are not separate from our origin. And if you go by the teachings, many, many spiritual teachings, they tell you the microcosm, is reflected, the macrocosm is reflected in the microcosm. So we reflect the universe. As above, so below. As within, so without. All of these teachings mean the same thing. And it makes sense that the upheaval that we are currently, sadly, witnessing in our world is because of the fact that consciousness is evolving on a macrocosm scale. That is being reverberated. We're feeling the vibrations of consciousness, of the evolution of consciousness into our world. It is trickling because we are human, because we live in this world, because this world is dense, because it's based on very, very low vibrations. Unfortunately for us, this is the way it is playing out. And I've come on here before. I can't remember when the riots in Los Angeles began. Actually, not on this channel, on my other channel, which is the Arabian Oracle. And I bitched and I said, this doesn't look like evolution to me. I guess the answer is it is. It is evolution. Human evolution is very, very messy. It's messy. Unfortunately for us, we are a very messy species. Not intended to denigrate, not intended to insult, not intended to belittle. You gotta call a spade kind of thing. We tend to learn the hard way. And this isn't, again, I'm not trying to bring in negativity or, God wants us to get punished. I don't believe in that nonsense. What I'm trying to say is, I know for me, I learned the hard way. I don't know about you. I like to experience things myself, which is why I have so much trauma in my life, because I didn't like rules. I still don't like rules. I broke all the rules. And you know what happens when you break rules? I guess you suffer the consequences. But still, it is not intended to be as you deserve this punishment. It is just the way we are as a species. We learn the hard way. This is something that is of our own making, of our own doing. There is no higher force punishing you. There's no higher force punishing us as a collective, making us live this misery and witness this misery on this world stage. Now, having said all this, where your attention goes, your energy flows. Again, I would like to reiterate that a lot of people aren't tuned into the news. A lot of people aren't aware what's happening. A lot of people don't want to know. And good for them. You know what? I probably should be that way too. Unfortunately for me, I belong to a small group of people on this planet known as empaths, or the super sensitives, or whatever it is you want to call us, drama queens. I don't know. But even if I don't pay attention to what's happening, in this world, the atrocities, I feel the energy. I think I've said before in one of my live streams, when the Arab Spring happened between 2010 and 2011, I went into a severe depression, and I was in Canada. I had no clue what was going on, and I didn't understand why I went into a depression until something led me, one thing leads to the other. I realized what was going on, and I'm like, that's probably why. When you're an empath, when you are energy sensitive, when you're an energy worker, you can't help it. You can't. You can try to remedy the situation, but ultimately we're designed this way. I guess we were born this way for a reason, and I can't sort of put blinders on. I can try, believe me. Today's one of those days. I'd love to. I just want to go out and enjoy nature, but it's difficult. Today is one of those days where it's just difficult to look away. Sorry, I went on another rant. So, knowing all of this, that we like to learn the hard way as a species, it's just the way we are. It still doesn't make it easier for the sensitives among us to have to sit back and watch the messiness that we are currently going through. I understand that, I guess to give it a spiritual sort of meaning, a spiritual explanation, would be like the caterpillar that suddenly stops functioning. And it just goes into a cocoon phase, and in the cocoon phase, its insides melt. It's pretty ugly, the change is pretty nasty. I don't know, I'm not a caterpillar, I'm presuming it hurts, I really don't know. And then after a period of living in darkness, of these changes, of this hardship, the cocoon opens and a beautiful transformed insect is before you. Be it a butterfly, be it a moth, be it, I don't know what dragonflies come from, I guess tadpoles, it doesn't matter. They transform, and the transformation usually is something beautiful. It's something amazing, and I want to say it's going to be worth the wait and worth the suffering that we're going through. So the upheaval in some of our personal lives, the chaos that we see in the world, this is all connected, regardless if you agree or disagree, and if you see it or not, or if you believe it or not, it doesn't matter what your personal opinion about it is. No, we're not connected. That's fine. You don't have to believe that we're connected, but we are. And I guess the reason I'm telling you this is no one knows the end result of this evolution. We don't know what it's going to look like. A lot of people are trying to tell you that, they know what the end result is going to look like, and I don't want to call them liars, but ultimately no one knows, because this is something that's in the future. We can try to predict it based on previous timelines, previous world points in history where humanity has gone through difficulties, times of chaos, where we've evolved, but really nobody knows. Consciousness itself, and this was another sort of big hit that shook me. Consciousness itself doesn't know where this evolution is heading, and take this with a grain of salt. I'm no priestess here. I'm no prophet, and at the same time, please don't shoot the messenger. If you don't like what anything I'm saying, switch the live stream and go off. You don't have to, dump on me. But this was a shocker to me when I received this input. Consciousness itself doesn't know what is going to be the end result of this evolution, because it is still going through it, as are we. We can hope and pray, and we should, because it is in the experiencing of the instability that we finally get the opportunity to go within and begin our personal journey. When I'm going to go back to the caterpillar, I have to dumb these things down. The caterpillar stops functioning. What does the caterpillar, what can it do when it stops functioning but go within itself? It goes and hides in its little cocoon, and the transformation begins. The journey within begins. And I can tell you from my own personal experience that I was an extremely egotistical, naive, unaware human being up until, well, shouldn't say that. That's pretty much putting myself down. I was aware to some point, I just didn't understand it. I didn't understand what my sensitivity meant. And people around me always were belittling me, making fun of me, calling me a drama queen. So I just suppressed myself so much until things blew in my face during the pandemic. That's when I went within. And that was an extreme difficult situation for me. A lot of people saw the pandemic as something normal. You might have seen the pandemic as something normal. You're like, what's she talking about? Why was the pandemic so difficult and hard? It was horrifying. The force covering of your face, the lockdowns, the fear, the mandates, all of it was horrifying for me to experience, considering, the background that I came from. And it was the most horrifying part of it was how society was okay with it. The society that I live in, mostly were fine with it, Anyhow, but that's, I guess, an example. I'm not trying to bitch and moan and be a victim. That's what I mean by that sentence. So it is in the experiencing of the instability, the chaos that you're seeing around you, the discomfort, whatever life events are happening to you on a personal level, in work, relationship, on the world stage that you're seeing that are horrifying you, that instability, that is what finally gives us an opportunity to sit back and say, there's nothing left out there. It's all gone to shit. Let me see what's in here for me. And you go within and you start your journey, and it's a very, 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 very beautiful journey that's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth being horrified. It's worth it. So this ties in with why previous spiritual teachings may not be working. This is a very important point, and it came through multiple times, by the way. So this ties in with why previous spiritual teachings may not be working for everyone, or they work sometimes and then other times they don't work. That I'm going to go further into explaining, and as difficult as it is, I have to mention some names. But when I mention names, I want you to know that I'm not poo-pooing other people. All right? I am expanding on whatever these people brought in with regards to spiritual teachings. You probably, I don't know if you've tried to manifest stuff and it hasn't worked for you and you've given up. I know I have in the past tried to manifest things. Even now I'm trying really, really hard to manifest something, but that kind of beats the purpose. It's nice when it happens without you knowing. And that's what I'm going to come into explaining. So the spiritual teachings, for example, of Neville Goddard were for that time period. And I believe he lived, when did he live? In the 20s, the 1920s? And they worked perfectly for the people back then. He became worldwide, known worldwide. His teachings resonated with a lot of people. People were attending his lectures and they would immediately manifest. Now, I can tell you that I've been trying Neville Goddard's techniques and they're not working. They worked a little bit for me, but they stopped working. And I'm not shitting on Neville Goddard. Neville Goddard is Neville Goddard. No one's going to take that away from Neville Goddard. But there are people right now, without mentioning names, they've established themselves as, especially those who are related to people who were close to Neville Goddard that he wrote about. They have massive YouTube followers, massive, websites. People purchase their content, and it's all based on Neville Goddard's teachings. And that's fine. But those teachings were good for that time period. You have to keep that in mind. And I don't know if these people are unaware of that, okay? They were perfect for that time period. We don't live in that time period anymore. Just gonna put that out there. Not challenging anything, not challenging anyone. This is sort of an epiphany that I will expand on. Though they might still work for some, you will find that as we evolve as a species, concepts, methods, and teachings will morph. They have to morph. They have to change to better suit the evolved human soul on this planet in this now. Right now, not back then when it worked. It has to work right now. And it has to work pretty good right now. So, an example. Think of an old phone. I grew up in a time period where if you wanted to make a phone call, not only was it the phone that had the wire connected, it was the old, like a rotation. Like you started with the 0 and you go all the way around and then it goes back. And then the 2 and then you go all the way. That was the phone that I grew up with. Now, nobody uses that phone anymore. So those are the old phones compared to a new phone. Technology advanced. It evolved with us as we evolve. So we evolved. So things evolve with things that we need, things that we use every day are going to evolve with us. No one uses a dial phone anymore. Yet, and this is the important part, yet the dial phone was essential in getting us to the point of having the luxury of having a smartphone, which unfortunately we have lost our awareness and consciousness because we can't unglue our faces from our smartphones. So, but regardless that point, so we don't use these old phones anymore. They're like relics. Nobody uses them anymore. There's videos of people who show their young kids an old phone, and the kids don't know what it is. They're like, what is this? Because they are so accustomed to using, the tablet, the smartphone. That's what they know. And the teachings, spiritual teachings, follow that same sort of rule. Yet, they were important, they remain important, because they set sort of the standard. That old phone where you had to sit and dial and all that nonsense, that set the standard that led us to have smartphones. So I'm not taking away from anything or anyone. So every stage has its landmarks that are important for a reason, even if we do not know what that reason is at that time. I'm going to say that again. Every stage, meaning of human evolution, has its landmarks in history. Those landmarks are important for a reason, even if we do not know what that reason is at the time. The person who invented the phone did not know that there was going to be smartphones hundreds of years later. They didn't know that. They didn't, but we ended up here. And that sort of takes me back to the evolution that we're going through. Consciousness itself doesn't know where it's heading. We don't know where we're heading. Hopefully to a better place. Chances are it's going to be to a better place. We just need to steer. We need to steer ourselves. The other point that I'm scared to say is that as much as we need consciousness to operate, to function, to live, to breathe, to do everything, to wake up every morning and do what it is we're here to do, consciousness also needs us. I'm just going to put that out there. I don't know why I was given that little thing, like that word. I don't know who needs to hear it. I don't know if you can make sense of it. But that's what exactly I received. As much as we need consciousness to operate and function, consciousness needs us. It needs us. So, it's a two-way kind of street. And unfortunately, where this world right now is so filled with unconscious human beings, and by unconscious I mean unaware, not connected. They're just not connected. Whatever it is, you're not connected to your moral compass, your inner light. You're just not connected. They chase money, they chase power, they chase fame. These people, they're steering us in a very, very bad direction. They're a minority, but unfortunately they're in power. So consciousness right now needs more of us to wake up. It needs more of us to see, to observe, and redirect this ship that we're on. All right. So the same with manifestation teachings and all things that relate to that realm, that spiritual realm. Same way, we evolve on this planet and things around us evolve with us. It applies also to the spiritual realm, to the spiritual teachings. Why do so many people have issues with religion? Religion, for the most part, does not evolve. It does not change. Especially like I know Christianity sort of, there's so many different sects and all that. I don't know what you call it, but the religion that I come from simply refuses to be reformed, because it's just, I don't know, the people are very rigid-minded. It's been used to gain power, positions of power in this world, to control human beings. So it's very difficult to bring any kind of reform to those old teachings. And this is why you're going to see a lot of people moving away, if not full, like they just hate it. You just hate religion altogether. It's like a side effect right now that we're getting. And spirituality is not like that. Spirituality is not just one teaching that's never going to change. Spirituality, the teachings change with us, which is why you're always going to get conscious human beings come on this planet to bring in that information through. We're never liked. We're never taken seriously. We flare people up. People hate us. We're frequently black sheep. We're frequently condemned. We're frequently hated. But it is what it is. So we got to get with the times and allow for those teachings to evolve, and be open-minded enough and aware enough to examine those teachings and say, you know what, this person's right. That teaching is outdated and it's not really working. It didn't work for me, it didn't work for that person. It worked for one person, it worked one time for this person. It's not working now. We need new teachings. So you got to keep an open mind. And that's the nice thing about spirituality. Spirituality is very, very fluid. Some people are going to hate that word, some people are going to love it. But spirituality evolves. It's not rigid. It's not rigid. The teachings serve their purpose for the humans of that time period during that stage of evolution. Now we are changing, and so will those teachings and their application. To what? No one knows yet. But like I said, try to remain open-minded as new things come down the pipelines. Another question you might think about is, why is consciousness evolving to start with? That was like when I got that download, like I said, I'm a pesky POS sometimes, and I like to ask questions. So I did ask, I'm like, so why is consciousness evolving at all? Like, why does source need to evolve? Why? And why do we need to go through all of this? My guess right now is as good as yours. I've not received any answer regarding that question. But having said that, it is, like I say, good to stay open-minded. Maybe the answer will come eventually. The world never ended in the past as a result of previous evolutions. It simply morphed. Which is why and how you and I came to be here now. So this is a very good time to, after you get angry at the state of the world, just like I did today, to meditate, to pray, whatever it is you do to connect with whatever it is that you believe in, and to strengthen that faith and to strengthen that trust, and to know that you're in safe hands and that you're in good hands. We really have to do that, because like I said, there's no one outside of us that's going to save us right now. The leaders that are around us, I don't think they know what the F they're doing. So you know, if you're gonna wait for someone to come save you, good luck to you. I am here to tell you that the only savior is you. And that's it. I think that's pretty much what I wanted to say. I'm going to end the live stream. I don't feel like there's anything else to add to it. I'm going to review this live stream, and then I'm going to decide if I'm going to publish it and where I'm going to publish it. So I hope it was well done. I might have, hiccuped here and there or whatever, but I just received this information today. I've been extremely emotional, and I tried to compose myself before I came on here, and I wanted to do it today because it had a sense of urgency behind it, because the world is shifting every day it's changing. And I don't know, I can't be the only one who's upset. I can't be the only one who's pretty much fed up of this nonsense that we're currently going through. So just wanted to do that, throw it out there. Hopefully it helps you. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to leave a comment. Please keep it respectful. And like I said, don't shoot the messenger. The light in me bows down to the light within you. Namaste.